What are some of the kind of themes or patterns or predictions you've got for 2026
for property?
For property.
Yeah, okay. So if I give you kind of two answers, and if we focus on the UK and then the rest of the world, maybe?
Yeah, that'd be really good.
Okay, so the Labour government came to power roughly 18 months ago. And without going into detail, and I'm not mudslinging here, but it's just a fact that two of the most senior three Labour politicians have got into quite a lot of trouble with housing.
Yeah.
And that's with the existing rules.
Yeah.
The reason I'm saying that, and I'll come back to it in a second. So Angela Rayner lost her job as Deputy Prime Minister and Housing Minister, because she failed to pay the correct amount of stamp duty. And you'd have thought someone in that position would have had appropriate advice.
Yeah.
You would have thought.
You'd have hoped.
Well, yeah. Interpret as you will, but just fact, she's gone.
Yeah.
For now. She may be back. And then, of course, Rachel Reeves didn't do the same thing. She did a separate thing. So, as I'm sure everybody knows, if you're the Chancellor of the Exchequer, you get number 11 Downing Street, next door to the Prime Minister, which means you don't need your family home. She's got a grace and favour house in the country as well. So she decides, quite reasonably, I'm going to rent out my family home where I was living before I got given these two rather nice houses rent-free.
Yeah.
And she was told by two separate estate agents that she needed a licence in writing.
Yeah.
She then denied she knew anything about that, got caught, and somehow she's still in a job.
Yeah.
But I would say, if it's possible, that diminished her reputation. I'll say that advisedly because I'm not really sure it's possible to diminish it any further when it's already on the floor. So the big piece of news for the UK property market next year is something called the Renters' Rights Act.
Mm-hmm.
Some people refer to it as the Rent Reform Act, which was the old Tory name for it. So Labour changed it and enacted it largely as the Tories were going to, a few tweaks. So it's now called the Renters' Rights Act 2025, which refers to when it was passed. It comes into force on the 1st of May 2026. And essentially it gives lifetime tenancies. So you're a landlord, I'm a landlord, I move into one of your houses, for example. From day one, I have the right as a renter to tell you I'm leaving in 8 weeks. You do not have the right to remove me for any reason other than a very, very short list, which include things like you're going to sell it, you're going to move into it yourself, or your mum's moving into it, or something like that.
Yeah.
And you actually have to do those things. So if you booted me out and said, sorry, see you later, Paul, you will not be allowed to rent that property for 1 year after moving me out. You will actually have to put it on the market if you told me that. As soon as I move in, I've got 6 months to challenge the rent. So I agree to the rent, I sign a rent contract, but for the first 6 months, I can take you to a rent tribunal and say that, well, I don't know what I was thinking, whatever.
Wow.
You are only allowed to put the rent up once a year, special form, so what? Well, the so what is that every time you try and put the rent up on me, you have to give a reason in writing. Yeah. And if I don't like it, or if I think it's too much, I can take you to a rent tribunal, which is free for me as a renter. It's not for you. You're going to need professional representation. And until that tribunal happens, which no one knows, it could be a month, it could be 2 months, it could be 6 months, the rent increase isn't allowed to be put in place.
Wow.
So I could talk, but long story short, government recently surveyed, I call them amateur landlords. So that's people that own properties in their own name. And even without fully understanding what's about to happen to them, 50% of them said they want to sell up. There's 2.5 million such landlords in the UK. So even if they've only got one property each, and on average they've got nearly 2, but they keep it 1, that means that in the next 6 months, something like 1.2 million rental properties are probably going to come on the market. And even though there's a property shortage in the UK, if you flood the market with 1 million plus properties, the price is going to go down.
Yeah.
Conversely, Blackstone, which is the biggest property asset manager in the world, American firm, 660 billion of property under management, just bought 17,000 houses in the UK. So you've got this dynamic where the professionals set up properly through a limited company with rent guarantees, with all the right insurance, that know what they're doing, which is like your typical Touchstone student, are buying. And the amateurs that just accidentally became a landlord, inherited a property, two people get together, they've got a house each. Oh, well, we'll live in this one, we'll rent that one. This is typically how people become landlords. They're panicking.
Yeah.
And they don't even understand yet. So combine that with the other dynamic in the background is that Labour said they're going to build 1.5 million houses. No chance. Like, none. Because we're 1.5 years in, and the Tories were building circa 200,000. Well, not the Tories, but the country under the Tories' leadership were building 200,000. It's now gone down to 150,000 under Labour. And Savills just published quite a major report that said if the UK is lucky, there'll be 750,000 houses built.
Wow.
So there's a short-term supply shock, oversupply, 6 months. Long-term, over the next 3, 4, 5 years, property prices, by the time the Labour government is, well, I don't know, elected, re-elected, gone. Everybody weeping as they leave. Maybe not. Cheers of joy. Savills think that property prices are going up by 25% in the UK. And I think that's too low. So I think property prices are going up over the 3 to 5 year period, but there could be, probably will be, a dip for the first 6 months of next year because of the Renters' Rights Act. Then that, for me, is the time, if you're a crypto trader, you want to buy the dip. So if houses were Bitcoin, what I'm saying is for the next 6 months, buy the dip.
Yeah.
And you're going to see that January, February onwards.
Yeah.